Okay, today we're going to be making the face of a bunny rabbit, although you could do with this same technique, you could do any picture that you download off the internet pretty much, and we're going to use it to put a simple little festive face on a little gift bag that you could make like for an Easter present or something. So we're going to get started. Just go ahead and create a new design and go into the backdrop tool, which is this one here. It looks like a little landscape. There's a mountain in the background and kind of some trees. You left click on that, and then you're going to navigate to the CD that I gave you today. And so you go to your, like on most computers now, it's going to say a DVD RW drive. So you click on that. In there is going to be a picture called Bunny. You're going to left click on Bunny. And my computer's taking forever to read the disk. There we go. And you choose Open. Okay, so there's our bunny. Now I want to make this a little bit bigger. So go up to your properties of the backdrop, which is what this is. This is a backdrop. Change the width to 4, and it'll automatically change the height. And just hit apply. There we go. Now he's the size that I want him to be. So what I don't want this whole bunny. All I want is the face, and I don't want the outlines of his head, because it's all that's going to be kind of like implied. So what we want to do is we want to get his face part here. We want to get his ears, his whiskers, maybe his teeth, and his eyes and his nose. But none of the rest of it. We don't want his feet and arms and all that kind of stuff. We're just going to do just the lines here. So the first thing we're going to trace, because it's kind of on the bottom, is we're going to do this part of his face here. And the way we're going to do that is we're actually going to trace this manually. So I want to zoom in a little tiny bit here so that I can see better what I'm doing. And the way you do that is you use the magnifying glass tool, just left click on that, and then click and drag a box around the area that we're going to work on, and it'll zoom right in. So I'm going to do his face, this part of his face, in two parts. I'm going to do this part first, and then we're going to do this part, and we're going to do them as satin stitches. But we're going to actually draw them in using the pen tool. So we go up to the artwork tab here, make sure that it's on pen, and then I'm going to just trace this shape. I'm left clicking, and each time I left click it puts down a dot, and there's a little like a straight line that goes from one to the next. And so I'm drawing this little mustache shape in here. I'm just going to draw the whole shape in at once. So I keep clicking around here. And each time I left click, it puts down a straight line and a blue dot. Okay, and once I get back to the beginning, I'm going to right click, and that'll generate this line. We're going to go to the select tool, orange arrow up here, and then we're going to right click on our little mustache shape, choose convert to satin. There we go. Now we've got a little satin stitch mustache shape for this part of his face. Okay, so the next step is we're going to do one of these sides, and we're going to do it exactly the same way. So you go back to your pen tool, and we're going to start right here. And I want this one to come to a point, so just keep that in mind. And if you want to curve this line, you can. It really doesn't make that big of a difference, but if you want to, you hold down the control key and look how it's actually curving my line for me. Just looks prettier. If you mess up, just hit backspace. Okay, and then I'm going to curve the inside line here, hold down control, and like I said before, I want this to come to a point right here. Right click, select tool, and then move my mouse over one of the lines until it becomes a hand, and right click, convert it to a satin stitch again. So I've got 1, 2. Okay, now this and this are symmetrical. They're the same thing. So I don't have to draw this again. I can just right click it, choose copy, right click it, choose paste, and now it doesn't look like it's done anything, but what it actually did is it made a second one of these that's sitting right on top of the first one. I can hit my mirror image button here. They call it flip horizontal. I'll always refer to that as mirror image, and you just drag this over to where the other one goes. Let's put that in 3D so we can see what we've done so far. Not too bad. this, this. Maybe move that over a little bit. That's pretty much what I was going for. So I'm going to turn my 3D off. The next thing that we're going to do is, let me zoom out a little bit. And I'm zooming out right now by scrolling the mouse wheel. I just used the wheel on my mouse to move in and out. So I've got that. I think I'm going to do the ears next because I want the whiskers to go over top of the ears. So if I drew the whiskers in first, then they would be under the ears, and that's not what I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm only going to trace this outer part of this ear. Okay? And I'm going to do it again with the pen tool. And I'm not going to close the shape. So I'm kind of trying to emulate the same way that my sample design is. We're going to hold down Control to curve the line, remember? And I'm just clicking. Now, when your curve changes directions like this, you actually have to let off and do a couple clicks before you hit the Control key again. Otherwise, your line starts to get wonky. So if your line starts to get wonky, just hit the backspace key. But now we're at the end of where I wanted to stop. So we're going to right-click, go back to the Select tool. This time we're going to convert it to a steel stitch. Cool. We're going to do the exact same thing over here on the other ear. Go get my pen tool and just click and trace, holding down Control to curve the line. Oop, my line got wonky. So I hit backspace to fix that, and we come back up the other side. Oh, line's changing directions again. Gotta let off that Control key when that happens. Okay, now I'm at the end. Right click to generate, left click on the Select tool, move the mouse over one of the lines until it becomes a hand, right click and choose Convert to Steel. Well, isn't that just lovely? Next we're going to do the whiskers. Guess how we're going to do it. Go up to the pen tool, and we're just going to left click and follow our line. Now for these, we're just doing one line, just like we did with the ears. We're not going to go all the way around and trace it. Just one line like that is just fine. And I'm going to do all three of these whiskers on this side first. 2, back to the pen tool, and this is my third one. Good. Now we want all three of these pieces here to be selected. So if I go and look at my sequence view, I can see the three things that are still artwork. We're going to hold down the Control key and click on each of them. Then we're going to right click and convert to steel so that they all three are steel. Now these are way, way too fat, so we're going to actually change the width here to 1 millimeter and hit apply. And now these are pretty much the same thing as these over here, so I'm just going to right click on them, copy, paste, use my mirror image tool again, bring it over. Now they don't really line up right, so what I can do is, see this blue dot with a little arrow on it? If I click and drag that, it lets me rotate the angle that these guys are at, and now, see, they line up pretty well. It's not perfect, but nobody's ever going to see my original artwork anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Just a few more things left. We've got the teeth, the nose, and the eyes. I'm going to start with the nose. Go get your pen tool, and we're going to trace this nose. And what I'm actually going to do is take a little bit of artistic license here, and I'm going to make this nose a solid fill instead of just an outline. So I just traced all around it. Now to make a solid fill, instead of choosing a satin stitch, we're going to right click it, convert it to a complex fill. That's it. Now we need the eyes. Now the eyes are pretty much circles. I'm going to ignore the little reflections on the eyes. And I'm just going to make them a solid color. So to get a circle, we go to our artwork tool and choose ellipse, and then left click and drag to make an oval about the size of the eye. And then you can actually use that little blue rotate button to rotate it to the same angle that the eye is. Right click it, choose Convert to Complex Fill. Then right click it again, copy, and paste, just like we did with the other symmetrical objects. And we can again change the rotation of that to match. And now all we have left are the teeth. The last thing we need to do is the teeth. So I'm going to do that with steel stitch again. Let's see. I think I will use the pen tool, and we're going to start in the middle. Left click, and then down to the bottom of the teeth, and then follow the left side like that. I did it a little crooked here though, so let's try again. Try to get it as straight as you can. I really should have done the teeth before I did the mouth. Now, I'm thinking, but that's okay. So we've got this part of it. I also want to trace this part of it here. And we want to highlight both of these two. Hold down Control to select more than one at a time. Right click on the line itself, convert to steel, and then change the width to 1 millimeter and hit apply. Yeah. That's pretty good. Now, if I want to change the order that these sew out in, because really they should be underneath this mouth, and the mouth was the first thing we did. We could select both of them again by holding down the Control key to select multiple objects. Right click on them, and we can actually move them. Let's see, we go under Order, and if we put it to back, then that is now all the way in the back, meaning it's going to sew out under this mouth. Let's put this in 3D and see it. I'm also going to lighten my backdrop so that all we can see is what we've done. You do that by selecting your backdrop and move the slider from darker all the way over to lighter and hit apply. So this is what we will have on our little Easter gift bag. Just the face and the ears. The other thing we can do to make this sew out a little bit nicer is auto-sequence it, or not auto-sequence it, optimize the entry and exit points. So if we select all items over here in our sequence view and click on optimize entry exit, that will make it so we have the shortest jump stitches possible. So that's it. We can now save this and sew it out. Go to File, Save As, or you could do Save to Sew. So if we do Save to Sew, we'd tell it, we're going to probably sew this out on cotton. I have no idea what all these different types of cottons are, so you just pick whatever your fabric is and choose I digitized, because we really digitized this. And this is an open area design. Go ahead and have it apply the density settings and all of that. It'll tell you what type of stabilizer and stuff to use, and then you're going to save it as a PES design. That's it. Hope you liked the video. I'll see you in the next one.